I never actually wanted to be an educator. You meet a lot of people where they really sort of prepare to go into teaching, and that was not part of my plan. It was really a matter of I love practice and I love focusing on advancing the profession. So thinking about designing for society and designing both for people and also for the environment is really thinking about how we can respect users, but also the world that we're in, our resources, humanity, and how we can design to be very respectful or mindful for those conditions is, it's not a superficial thing that we do. It's really deeply embedded into all of those kind of larger ideals. And that's how I like to approach talking about interior design in the classroom. That's one of the things that I think is so phenomenal about what we do as interior design educators, that we have to have an understanding and kind of ability to span across that full spectrum. So really thinking about that in a much more holistic way is what really grounds me regardless of where we are on that spectrum of teaching. I'm a very introverted personality, and so it takes a lot of energy to get up and a lot of preparation to be in that role and be the person that the students need you to be.
Well, I think that interior design has an incredible role for the future. Indeed, I think it's the most important role that we see within the built environment. It's fascinating for me to watch how interior design has changed in this country, over the last, half of a century. I think when you look at someone like Tamie Glass, she's one of those that kind of hits that trifecta, a trifecta in terms of having professional knowledge and expertise, of being an excellent educator, and yet at the same time she's also a researcher within that. It is sort of understanding that it is that crossroads or that nexus of those different types of approaches or those different lenses that really allow us to engage the full scope of what the possibilities are.
In having your own firm while you're teaching means that you always have one foot in the kind of practical, pragmatic world of design and implementation, working with clients. So you go out into the world and you're designing and practicing, and then you go into the classroom minutes later and talk about that process. The work at the Blanton Museum was an opportunity for me to reconsider the way we think about practice. So in terms of scope of work, it was the Blanton Museum was reinstalling their permanent collection, which hasn't been reinstalled in probably over a decade. So all of the artwork actually came down off of the walls, and the team, we were looking at how to move people through in different ways, how to increase the amount of artwork, and then thinking about how to get people to intuitively move through the building, because it's a building that doesn't necessarily support the visitor experience in the way that the director would really like for it to. And so using kind of large super graphics and adding furnishings in areas where you might actually want people to spend a little bit more time and being more inviting through that process. I've dedicated a whole book to just talking about space and how we relate to space and how it can change our behaviors, how it can influence our behavior. It can change our perceptions within space. It can adapt. Our cultural norms can shift because of it. Now, I think that there's something about design that is consistent and pervasive around the globe that I think if you really consider it, it's thinking about the process of design, and that every situation, every context is different. And so if you have an empathetic approach to how you design, and it's a very human-centered approach, that will take you to any part of the world to design.